quick video on the KV drill, Beet drill. It's ISOBUS. It has the capability of doing section control as well, and rate. This tractor is a Fendt 718 and that's unlocked for section and rate control as well. This ISOBUS, I'm going to show you just quickly the first steps on what you need to do, and also a few of the functions of it, because it's not quite as easy as just making sure it all works and going through the screen. So first things first, I'll plug the ISOBUS plug in the back, and your Fendt's probably going to be set up where it's not, the ISOBUS isn't on. So there's two things to think about with ISOBUS. There's VT, which is your virtual terminal, which is like the terminal on here. If you had like a separate screen up here, like a Trimble or Topcon, that's also ISOBUS compatible. That's another virtual terminal, so you can have 1, 2, or if you wanted it to go mainly on the external screen, you'd have that one set to 1 and that one set to 2. So you have like UT, VT, and then you have TC, which is task control. So that means that the Fendt can then control the drill and like control the sections on and off. So it's quite important that if you're doing section control, you need to make sure that's set up right as well. So first things first, I've got my little page set up for how I like to drill, and you can see there ISOBUS is switched off, task control is switched off. So hamburger menu top right, go to system setup, ISOBUS. I'm going to switch the ISOBUS on in a minute, and the section control. And then you'll see here we've got VT version 3, so virtual terminal version 3. So ISOBUS had different standards. I think they're up to 6 now at the time of doing this, but anything above, anything at the top of the end, the higher the number, should work with anything lower. So this implement here I think is version 2 or something like that. We'll have a look in a minute. So I'm going to turn my ISOBUS on, that turns my task controller on, and I'm going to turn my section control on as well. UT number is set to 1 because I want it to load on this display. If I had an external display like Trimble, Topcon, and I wanted the ISOBUS to load on that screen, I would change that number to a higher number, so I'd make that like number 11, and then it would always go for the lowest number first, so it should load onto that screen first. AUX-O and AUX-N, I've kept that at AUX-N, and then you can choose what sort of display it looks like. So I've turned all that on, so that should, in theory, load up. So here we have our drill. So the KV Unicorn drill is a Beet drill. It's an 18 row or 18 unit 9 meter drill set up for 36 meter tram lining. So in another video I've covered section control and bits about that. So this one will just focus on the drill and its functions. So first thing you want to do if you're going to unfold it is to go to PSD folding, and you'll have one icon here. If you press the little UT button here, that'll expand it into a bit bigger screen. So I'm going to unfold it. So I've already set all this up in my tractor, so that these are that's my markers, and that one is my fold function. So if I push that down, I've got it on constant. So if I push that down, that's now telling me it wants to go down, but it's not doing anything. So I have to press and hold that, and then that will start to fold down. So that will then do its thing. It takes a little while to fold, so you probably want to have it on a constant, and it looks really bizarre. Yeah, sorry, video cut out there. Yeah, it looks really bizarre when it's unfolding, but that'll go out. Takes a couple of minutes to do, so we'll let that do its thing. Whilst that's folding, you can see on the screen you have a little UT swap there, because it's got two functions. You have one page dedicated to folding and one page dedicated to the drill. So if we click that button, we'll get through to the drill menu. So we'll go through that in a bit, and yeah, we'll just wait for it to unfold. So it gets to a point and then it stops the left and carries on with the right, and then it booms up round. The last stage, it drops everything down and then what it will do is it will lift the markers up, but that takes a few seconds after it's come fully down, so you'll see in a minute what I mean. So last stage of folding now. There's your marker for your preamp, your spray operator. So then it's all fully folded down. Keep it on though, because after a few seconds the markers then fold out. So now the right and the left are folding out, and then once they're folded out all the way, I'll then just flick that switch off. And how I tend to roll is I just flick it and then I turn that off because I don't need it, and I sometimes just turn the markers off because I don't use markers. Right, so the 36 meters spraying on a 9 meter, that means that I have to start the field with that my right on the field edge. So I go 1, 2 tram line, 3 tram line, 4 off, and that gives you a nice mark for 36 meters. So once we've done folding, you'll see that we get a few more options. So you can either fold the right, the left, or go back up and fold everything. If for whatever reason this doesn't load, and this happened to me earlier today, I didn't have this UT swap function. If it doesn't do anything and you can't physically see this, just open your back window, unplug your ISOBUS, which is that one there, unplug that, leave it for a minute, and then plug it back in, and that'll reload the bus, and that should work. So I'm going to stop this as a clip, and then we'll go into the next bit, which will be functions of the drill. Okay, so you're all unfolded, and you want to know a bit more about the functions of this drill. Might just turn around so the sun's not in my face. 2 secs. I'm not sure if that's any better or not, but it's a bit glary. So you've unfolded, you've got seed in the drill. Yeah, these are the basic functions of the drill. So first menu here, you have your speed, so that's your tractor speed, and I'll show you how to adjust how that works or where it's getting it from. You've got your row spacing, not row spacing, your beet spacing, so 1.1 units per hectare, or 18 centimetre down the row. Then you've got your area marker, so that's how much you've drilled, and then you've got tramline 1, 2, and because of our setup, it's just they both join on the same. But that's showing you what stage you're at. So you're at 1 out of 4. So 1 doesn't tramline, 2 tram lines, 3 tram lines, 4 no tramline. So 2 and 3, when they change to 2 and 3, you should see one of these turn off and it should look like a tram line. So on the screen, you've got to go through to different menus. You press the bottom right, but we'll start on this page to start with. So first of all, you have your seed rate, so you can quickly up and down, so that'll go in increments on what you decide on one of the other pages. So if I click that, see it's gone up, so I'm increasing the rate, yeah, 120, which is decreasing the centimeters in the row, and then if I cancel that, that'll revert back to 18. I can manually change it as well, so if I want to go in here and say 20 centimeters, that'll then tell me I'm going to do 100, 1 unit a hectare. So I'll change that back to 18. Tram lining, so normally how I run it when I'm in the field is I'll press this button here, and then that'll bring up my tram line features. So when you're doing like headlands and stuff, if I'm only doing 3 round, I obviously need to skip headlands when I go back into work. So you'll see here, if I click +1, that moves the tram lining up, and you'll see there I've got my little tram line icon. You'll also see the tram liner go down. So if I go back to 1, you should see that come up. See? So that's now coming back up because I'm not on a tram line. So that will stop it drilling in that unit as well. You've got your section controls here. If you really wanted to play around with it, it's a bit clunky, but you can basically press that button there to start bringing them in, but it won't work when it's not drilling. You can also stop it from tram lining, so you can just press that and it won't tram line. So that's your non-tram line feature. So next menu is your markers. So markers obviously right and left, so that one is your left marker, and that one is your right marker. You can have it set to automatic or manual, so you can basically flick your switch down there, press and hold one of the marker buttons like we did earlier, that will unlock it, and then it will go up and down. Next page. So this one is whether this is individual coulters, so your individual units, you can change the spacing on individual ones if you want, if one's not quite running right. They should all default to the same one that you want. Then you've got a couple of options here. So this one's set up, I've changed it back, but I have been running it differently. So this top one is your area counter. So it's basically, you've got 20 area counters. It will show you how much you've done in each one. So if you're going to start a field, you can just cancel that, resets to 0, then you can see at the end how much drilling you've done. You've got the other option of your tram lining, so you can tick 1 and 2 whether you want them off or on, and then what side of the field you're working on to start with. So we're always starting on the right. How wide our tram liner is and how wide our sprayer is, and then how many sections it's knocking off when it's doing it. So that's showing you that, yeah, you go say for example down 1, up 2, which would turn it on there, and then back down 3. Same again with number 2. So one of the other things you can do is the spanner icon. So if we hit the spanner, so if you wanted to test all the units, you can do a manual speed. So this is your percentage of when you're increasing your rate with that plus and minus, how much that's going up by 2%. You've got your warnings, so high speed warning, low speed warning, how many units it shuts off at a time when you're on the manual, doing it manually. So we've got it set to 1. This one hasn't been working on this drill. I'll try and put a picture in a minute of what it does, but this is basically your seed level hoppers, and I don't think this drill's quite working right, but I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I'll put a picture up. This one is whether you're working in centimeters or units per hectare. So all that does is it changes back here. So you see before it was 18, now we're on units. So you can just, if you're working in units, you can work on units and it'll tell you row spacing, or if you're working in row spacing, it will tell you units. So I'm going to change that back because we're working in centimeters. Next page up, this is your speed. So here on the top left, I'm working on, because it's an ISOBUS implement, I'm going to use the ISOBUS on the tractor, and I'm going to use the ISOBUS wheel speed. The work switch, I'm going to have it set to work switch as up and down, and then your tram line set to work switch as well. So every time it lifts and lowers, that will then cycle through. So we're on number 1 now. If I just go down, put the drill down, then pull the drill up, that's going to tell me that I'm stopped, but it should also then cycle through. You see it's gone to number 2. I've got that set up on the going end, but obviously because I'm still, I just did it on that one. Okay, next menu on that. So for example, if I wanted to check that all of my modules are working, so the drill's empty, I can click that and I can choose different things. So I can either have the wheel, which is a sensor on the back there, I can have the ISO wheel, which is using my GPS speed, or I can have radar, which is the radar on the tractor, manual or radar if there's a radar on the drill. So I'm going to click manual, and then if we go back, you see I've got an option now to put in my speed. So if I put in 4K, and then I'm just going to make sure all of my alarms are switched off because that's really annoying. So these are your alarms, so I'll go back to that in a sec. So now if I hit that button, that is now going to start all the motors. You can see them spinning around there. So you can check all your motors working, check everything's working before you go drilling and before you put your seed in. So now I'm going to hit stop because I don't need to do it anymore. See the counters going up. So I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to change that back to my tractor speed because I want that to work off my tractor. So this one is for your sensors. So if you tick that, it turns them all on. Untick, it turns them all off. You can have all of them on and then turn off certain sensors that aren't working very well. I've had them all off what that will basically do is give you singulation warnings, which looks like that. It will say it's skipping or doubling up, and then it will give you a low alarm as well for when your hopper's low. But that hasn't been working on this drill very well, so I've turned that off and just keep digging and having a look out the back. What else we got? This is your back end configuration, so this is to make sure that you are correct. I've got the discs in with 7 holes, so I've got that set correct. I've got 18 units and they're 50 centimeters, so that's telling us that we've got this set up correctly, and that will then send that to the tractor. Not sure what the pin is. You can get more diagnostics if you hit this button here. So this will tell you a bit more diagnostics on the drill, like how many hours it's done, how many hectares it's done. This will tell you information about voltages. So there is 6 units on the back. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 the other side, and they control 3 units. So that box will control 1, 2, 3 there, and you can just go into a bit more diagnostics on what's going on there. Yeah, when you're drilling, the little white icon there on the wheel will move around, so it shows you that you're drilling, and the counter will go up. If you go into the settings, and we go all the way to where are we? ISOBUS settings down the bottom there, ISOBUS. If you click this plus button here, that will then change the counter to the task that you're doing, so every field it will reset for you. But if you turn the tractor off, it will also reset it, so just bear that in mind. We've got TC down the bottom there, which tells me that the drill is going to be controlled by the fin. So as we go into work and out of work, the sections will turn it on and off and drive the and do all that, and I've done that on a separate video. Yeah, this will basically be to turn sections on and off. Let me show you that quick. That's a manual one. It's a bit fiddly, so you probably won't be doing this unless you haven't got section control, in which case yeah, it'll be a bit clunky. So we'll change our thing to manual. So now we're going 4K, started the drill, so that's now going. So you see those little white lines moving, so that means it's drilling. We're on a tram line, so you can see the tram line icon there. So if I went back to the main running page, and if I change that to 0, that will reset it to 1. You see that started to drill now. So now if we hit our little icons here, you'll see it start to knock sections off from the right. It should be from the right, there you go. So you can test this manually as well. So we're just sat here going nowhere, but we're knocking all the sections off. And you can see out the back they've stopped going round. Now if I start bringing them back in with this button here, you can bring them all back in, and you'll see they've started spinning around. If you're on section control, you don't need to worry about that, because that'll automatically do it for you. So it's just something that if you haven't got section control unlocked on your tractor or whatever, to bear in mind. I think that's pretty much it. Very, very quick run through. Yeah, I've got it set up on go and end, so when I hit go, it drops the drill down. It'll automatically count up the sequence unless I want to change it. End or lift the drill, it's pretty simple really. And then my section control is all done by the tractor, which is on another video. When you finish the field, hit the UT button, and then I'm going to unlock my spool. Click that, you can see it wants to come up. Click and hold the button for a second, and she's already started to come up. And that's the same process, it takes a few minutes just to fold up, and it's exactly the same as when we unfolded. Well, I hope that helps. KV Unicorn drill on Fent 1. I couldn't find any manuals for it online, so I thought I'd just make this video very quick on basics of it. Cheers.